You're looking at the space frame, or excuse me, the adaptive column that we're going to build and use it to support our space frame. And you'll notice I've created 3 levels for it. That midpoint level that we did will correspond to point 2 here that's in the center of the screen. So we can adjust kind of like the midpoint of our adaptive column. We have what will be a total of 5 reference points, 1 at the base, 2, and then 3, 4, and 5 as we attach it up to the frame. So we'll go ahead and get a start on this by opening up a generic adaptive component. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one away, and we're going to go to File, New, Family, and we want a generic model adaptive, and I'll open that up. And let's go ahead and do the first things. Let's create some levels. So I'll go to the front view. Actually, I'll just go right to a south elevation or front elevation because it'll show better. And we'll take these reference levels and copy them up. So I'm going to use a copy tool, and we'll come up. The first one is 20 feet, and then the next one is 20 feet. Just as we set up in the original family for our shape. Okay, so now that we have that created, let's go back to an isometric 3D view here. And I'm going to place the first point down at the base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that reference plane as the base and put a point down here. And I don't get an indication of location when I first place it, but I can go ahead then and select it and then drag it until it highlights that it's lining up with those 2 reference planes. It really doesn't specifically matter where this is placed because these points are adaptive, but this will just help us to have a better idea of what we're actually creating. Next one, I'll pick that midpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and set the reference plane to that level, place a point on that, and then once again do the same thing. I'm going to grab that point and I'll slide it along until we get highlighting indicating that it's lined up with that grid system the same way. And if we look at it from the top view, and we could use this to help us get right over each of them. And I'll flip back around with this. Whoops, on the wrong side of it. Okay, so we have our 2 points down there. The last ones are our 3 points that are up at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and set that plane and place 3 points. And I'm just doing this arbitrarily. And we'll look at this from the top view. And we can just move these points around so they make a little more sense to us maybe. And let's go ahead then and look at this once again from a 3D view. Now I'm going to select all of these points, and I'm going to use the tool up at the top here, which is called Make Adaptive. That's going to change these into adaptive points. So we have 1 base, 2 the midpoint, and then the 3 top points, 4, 5, 3, 4, and 5. And I noticed that this is 3, 4, 5, so it's kind of going counterclockwise. No, it's going clockwise, excuse me. Think about that when we go to later on placing our columns, about the way we want to go from one point to the next. That way we won't get a twist in our columns, which you'll see as we move along. So now we want to establish the base circles that we're going to extrude from one to the next one. So I'm going to start at the very base, select that base plane, create a circle, and I'll make this, we'll do 18 inches. So I'll make it a 3 foot. I'm going to set the next one up. Make this maybe 12 inches. And then we have the 3 points up at the top. Set a working plane. And then I'm just going to do these 3 inches, so that'll make it a 6-inch diameter where it comes to the very end. I hate when it does that. Element is too small to be seen on screen, so we have to zoom in. And I'm going to do the last one. Okay, now what we want to do is we kind of want to confirm that these things are going to behave adaptively. So I want to make sure that the circle moves with them. If I don't confirm it now, I could continue constructing things and then have all kinds of problems later on. So as long as these are moving adaptively, we're fine with that. What we don't want is a circle staying by itself. The other thing I want to do is I'm going to select these circles, at least a couple at a time here, and I want to make sure that I'm indicating them as being reference lines. And I'm going to grab these up at the other ones here, this one, that one, and where's the other one hiding out here? And I'm just holding down the control key to multiple select, so I have three model lines, and I'm going to highlight them all as reference. So now we're really at the process that we've done all of the base work, so now all we really need to do are connect the dots, so to speak, or connect the circle. So I'm going to grab the two circles of the trunk, or the base, and create a form. And I must have not grabbed the bottom one, so let's try that one more time. Let's go ahead and test it. So I'm going to grab the base and kind of slide it over, and that works. I'll do the same thing with the top. Once again, I'm always wanting to test this out because I don't want to get too far along in the construction of it. Let's go ahead now and go from this reference line circle to this one. I'm going to hold the control key down and multiple select and create a form. And we'll go ahead and test that. And I'll go to wireframe so you can see my grabbing that circle again. So I want to grab the circle, come over here and grab that circle, create form, and we have one last one to do. Grab the circle. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit. And grab this circle, carefully rolling here until I get it. That is pesky. There we go. And create form. And we'll give it a little bit of a tweak just to see if it's going to behave adaptively. And it looks like we're good. So next we'll look at placing this column. Well, last thing I want to do though is do a save command. And I'm going to save this as the column. And I'm going to go ahead and load this into the project, and then in the next clip I'll start placing it. So we'll go load into the project, and we really don't want to go into the frame unit or the main project that we created. We want to go into the space frame where our basic frame layout is. So I'll click OK, and that's going to go ahead and open that up, and we're ready to start placing. So I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'll pick up in the next clip.